folic acid because it's the same sort of thing, where they put in folic acid as an essential nutrient, or folate is an essential nutrient, and folic acid is the synthetic man-made version of it. And the reason we need that is because, well, the reason they need the synthetic version is if they're to put natural folate into, say, bread, the sunlight exposure will kill it and it won't last. So they have to use this synthetic version. And then the reason they put it in there is to reduce harmful, neural tube defects is a big one. And so minority groups typically don't have a healthier diet. And so when they don't have a healthier diet, they're more likely to end up with neural tube defects. And so this fortification of foods that are commonly eaten by everyone is a way to get fortified folic acid into these minority groups. The problem for me when it comes is, well, I eat a great diet, and there's evidence to show that at least 60% of people might be unable to metabolize the synthetic version of folate. And the evidence isn't clear that that's particularly harmful, but that there is a build-up in the liver of unmetabolized folic acid. And I don't know about you, but I don't want no unmetabolized folic acid in my liver. Just because the evidence doesn't show that it's particularly harmful just yet doesn't mean that it is.
I've seen studies that show it is harmful in ways that it increases like your anxiety and like your mood and stuff like that, and
mental stuff.
Yeah, and it can cause depression and stuff as well. Which I mean, is a bold claim, but Gary Brick has talked about it, that he thinks a lot of the postnatal depression in females after birth
could be folic acid related.
Because so you said 60%, I've seen it as 40%, but even let's say it's 40%, that's still a high number.
Well, it's because we've got two genes. We've got one from our mum, one from our dad. And so it ends up like making the percentage bigger. Like, so you're more likely to, like most people will have at least one kind of thing. That makes sense.
So it can be dominant. I wonder if it's a dominant gene.
I think you just have two parts that die, metabolize it, and it's like you have most people seem to have one that cannot digest folic acid, but they can still somewhat digest it, whereas some people will be born and they have unable, and yet our food must be fortified. Our bread must be any flour made for baking.
And fortified or enriched, all that means is they've put folic acid in it.
Yeah.
And if you have the gene that we're talking about is the MTHFR gene,
which is short for motherfucker gene.
The motherfucker gene, because it's not good.
Appropriately named.
Then say you're one of the 40% of people that have that gene, then your body can't break down folic acid, which starts to become a problem, right?
Well, I think so. You've now got a nutrient that's synthetic, man-made, that it's just floating around in your body. Like, I don't want that.
And the NZ government have made it mandatory to put it in all the bread supply in New Zealand.
Yes.
So any bakery or supermarket that makes a loaf of bread has folic acid in it.
You can't even buy like a sourdough bread that doesn't have folic acid. And to me, that's not fair, because I should have the choice to be able to buy bread that, especially that's not standard bread. Like, you can understand that the benefits for minority groups that are going to just buy white loaf bread. But like, why can't we have the higher end bread, like a bakery bread, a bakery loaf? Why can't that be like non-fortified if they choose to?
I agree.
And then I have now the option to buy bread that's not going to give me unmetabolized folic acid.
I think there is an option to do that. I think you can go and buy an expensive organic loaf of bread.
Well, I'm just from the supermarket is like the nice loaves of breads. They're all full of folic acid.
Yeah, supermarket's a no-go.
And it's like, it's just real frustrating, because it's like, I feel like I'm a person, and I should get the test done, but I feel like I don't have a good ability to digest folic acid, and I would love to be consuming more bread, and I feel like I shouldn't be, And then the other part of it is how doctors, I've got a friend who when I saw their doctor, let them know they were pregnant, and they're just recommending folic acid, and
that friend is me. So when I got into this ages ago, I was doing heaps of study on it, and I saw that so folic acid is a synthetic version of methyl folate. Methyl folate is the actual... the natural version of folate. Yep. So you can buy supplements called methyl folate that your body can process.
Everyone can absorb.
Even if you have the MTHFR gene. And it was crazy, man. I went around to like 10 different pharmacies in New Zealand asking the pharmacist, do you sell methyl folate? They all look at me having no idea what that even is.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, why would you want that? Like, here, have this. This is folic acid. I'm like, I don't want folic acid. I want methyl folate. And then they're like, start pestering me. Why? And then I just started being like, I've got the MTHFR gene. That's why. And they're like, oh. And then they go like type it in their system. And then like it actually comes up and they're like, shocked.
True.
But it's like, why?
And here they are recommending it to everyone.
Yeah, but it's like, why does no one know about this? And they're meant to be the professionals, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. And it makes you, and again, this kind of comes back to that whole, like, we're trying to be healthy. We have to put in so much time to try and be that high level healthy. And it's hard. And like most people just don't do it. And like it should be the easiest way should be the healthiest, I think.
It's a weird one because especially when it comes to like, a pregnant woman, I am aware that I can sometimes go down rabbit holes. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to like...
me too, bro. Yeah,
when it comes to like my child, I'm like extra cautious. I'm like, fuck, am I just going down a rabbit hole? Like I would hate to...
Am I being safe or am I going too far?
I would hate to not give them something because I've just gone down a rabbit hole, but then it, hurts the life of my child.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research and I did come to the conclusion, I don't want to give my partner folic acid. I would way rather her have methyl folate. And she came to the conclusion of that as well, which is what we did. But yeah, it is just scary. I don't trust, it just comes back to the trust of the government. I can't trust them because when you look at society and how sick everyone is, it's like, okay, if I just follow like a sheep, this is what I'm going to turn into. It's like, or I have to do the opposite and be a critical thinker for myself.
Yeah.
And look out for me and my family.
Yeah. And then the balance is how hard do you go, and I think some of our friends would look at us as going too hard in particular areas, but I think we both look at it in certain ways of like, why would I add, like, sure, I'm going to be getting some toxins here and there and like this thing's unavoidable, but these things here I can control, like cooking with a cast iron pan, for example, as opposed to a non-stick. Non-stick is just covered in chemicals to try and be non-stick, like Teflon. And it's like, this is a forever chemical that once gets into your body, it doesn't leave. It's like, why would I want that? Like, I can just make the change of cooking in a cast iron pan, slightly harder to clean, but is it really? I mean, I'm cleaning it fine, but, and it's like, that's a small change that's easy, everyone could do, but I feel like almost like my flatmates or my parents will think I'm kind of going over the top, and it's like...
Yeah, and a lot of people, I guess, it just comes back to being a critical thinker, is they'll be like, oh, no, it's fine. Like, what do you mean? Like
everyone does it.
Yeah, well, like the label says, you can do
safe,
this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, of course the label says that because that's the company trying
they
to
needed
advertise.
They needed to be safe so they can sell it.
Exactly.
And that's like, no one has our health as important to us as we do. Whereas the companies, at the end of the day, especially like in America, it's just money. And it's like health and safety is like just a loop that they've got to go through. And as long as I think the thing like a Teflon pan isn't like just dropping people like flies, like it's okay, they can get away with it. And that's what, it's just, I can't trust these companies. I don't feel like I can, and I don't feel like our governmental regulators are like onto it enough, because look, they've dived into folic acid and obviously with raw milk, and it sounds like in your head you feel like they've come to a good conclusion with raw milk, right? With folic acid, I feel like there's no doubt in any of the research that methyl folate is supreme to folic acid, like it's the healthier version. So why isn't the common doctor recommending methyl folate?
Yeah, I guess
it just doesn't make sense.
And it probably comes back to, it's almost no fault of the doctor, but I bet you they don't get taught that.
No.
So it's the education piece.
No, and it's easy to hate your doctor, but it's like they've got